What sort of shape is everyone in after the November internationals coming back and so on?
A pretty good shape, really. You always expect one or two bumps and bruises at this stage of the season, which we've got. But in general terms, no, we're pretty good. Steve and Matthew are in good shape. George has got a bit of a bump on his shoulder, and we'll assess that during the course of the week. And Sean Lamont has had a bang on his hip. But again, none of these are long-term problems, so really pretty good.
After the month that George has had, probably beyond everyone's expectations, is there a bit of pressure on you to try and nurse him through the next period?
Well, George hasn't played that much rugby, but we have to look after him, we have to manage him, we have to make sure that, as an 18-year-old, we don't overload him. But I think George is very eager to play, as are the other guys, and I spoke to the three of them last week and said that if they wanted to, they could have had the week off, but they were adamant that they wanted to come back and be involved in this squad, which is great from our perspective.
Tricky weekend last weekend, but you came through it. Confidence must be quite high.
Yeah, it was a very tough game, and Ronnie got a lot of quality players. They're a big set. Roland is coaching them now, and they're starting to play a little bit more expansive rugby. So they're going to be a very tough unit to beat out there. You can't take anything for granted with them. It was a very tough encounter for us. We didn't really control the game for large parts of it, but what we did have is enough quality when the opportunities eventually came to finish them off. So that was very pleasing. And if we compare that with the week before when we played Munster, well, probably we controlled the large majority of that game, but we lost. But we came through a game that we weren't controlling with sheer ability and self-belief. So it is very pleasing that this team is growing, and those are the type of games that we'd have definitely lost last season.
And still, of course, flying high at the top of the table. That must give you a lot of confidence going into the Leinster game, and obviously builds it up into a pretty massive match.
It's a huge game for us. The game will definitely be on because of the facilities we've got here, regardless of the weather. And it's an opportunity on a Friday evening for us maybe to go at the top of the league, and that's our target.
They're used to this position. You haven't been there for a year or two now.
No, we haven't, and it's all about consistency and bringing that consistency in the performances week in, week out. And we're very pleased with the way it's going. I think there's a lot of good things happening here. The players are playing with a lot of self-belief and determination. They're playing for the shirt, and also more than ever, we've got real strength in depth, which means that whoever comes into this group actually gives us value and actually pushes things on. And there's a lot of competition for places within the squad, which we haven't had for a couple of years, and that's really it's adding to the momentum that we've got.
Between the internationals and the Heineken Cup, it's a slightly funny week for a lot of reasons. Your Heineken Cup task is a little easier than theirs, to say the least. Does that give you an edge for this week? You can concentrate more on it?
No, we've said from the outset that the league is very important to us, and we're not even considering the Heineken Cup at this stage. We want to sign off this period of league rugby with a result, with a win, which puts us and keeps us at the top end of the table, and then we'll start to consider where we are with the Heineken. So the league in its own right for us is very, very important. It's what we do week in, week out, and it's how we get judged at the end of the season, so we're very keen to do well in this.
Do you think they might take their eye a little bit off Friday night because of what's ahead of them though?
I don't know, that's out of my control, it's out of our control, and we'll, what we've got to do is manage what we can control, and certainly we'll be picking from a strong squad, an energised squad, and a confident squad, and also to have the ability to utilise our internationals as well is very important.
So you wait and see how they come through the week, but at the moment you're minded to pick your returning internationals for the game?
Yes, whether they start or not is another thing, but certainly to be involved in some way.
Mm-hmm. Well, you saw down in Cardiff, actually having them on the bench can make a difference.
Well, it does, it's again, it's strength in depth, and when you've got the ability to do that, it's great. And with people like Reece, Ken and Emir who can fill in those key positions and do it so well these days, it's great to have the luxury really to put someone like Steve and Matthew on the bench and then to bring them on, and certainly has a psychological effect when you do bring them on, because they're players with huge reputations who can actually impact the game quite significantly when they do come on.
Are there any players coming back? Nigel, you mentioned Josh possibly and Rob last week.
Yeah, Josh and Rob will be available for selection this week. Joshua will be available for selection. Femby is still not recovered. He's having some further investigation. we'll see where that leads to.
And they lost Lou.
Yes, we lost Lou for about 5 weeks, I would imagine.
In terms of this time last year, you played Leinster. Obviously, it was a pretty critical time of the season, those two Heineken Cup games. Can you sort of explain what kind of different position you're in now in comparison to when you played them out here in that Heineken Cup game?
Well, we're in a completely different place. The momentum that we've got and we've generated in the first half of the season has been a lot of belief, a lot of confidence, and also, as I keep on saying, the strength and depth that we now have in the squad, probably because of the fact that we've blooded a lot of our development players over the last 18 months, makes a huge difference. It makes it a competitive environment, and everybody is pushing the bar up because of that. And players, when they get the shirt, they know it's their opportunity to hold on to it, because there's people behind them who are just itching for that opportunity.
The fact that they're seen as probably one of the top 4 contenders for the playoffs, does it make this game even more important from your point of view, if you want to be there at the end of the season?
One of the things we've taken into this season is that we tend not to focus too much on the opposition, but work and focus on ourselves and make sure that whatever we do better. Having said that, we had a couple of bashings with Leinster last year, but we're in a different place this year, so we were a bit frustrated with our performances against them last year, so we want to step it up this time around.
You spoke last year about the strength of their squad and how they were able to bring so many internationals and quality players in. Do you think you're closing the gap between them now?
I think so, absolutely, and that's why we're at this moment in time we're at the top end of the table. I watched them on Sunday, and I thought they played all the rugby, and they showed some real quality there. So they're a real danger, whatever side they decide to bring, and we know that. And they'll be confident, having played us the last 3 times. And played us very well and scored a lot of tries against us. I'd like to think we're a completely different proposition this time around.
They've had a tough autumn, so they lost Driscoll, Carney, Fitzgerald, some key players there.
Yeah.
Won't be absent.
Hopefully.
But with French teams, I suppose the financial weight they carry, you can't really compete.
Well, I'd like to think that we've created a certain amount of gravity here in terms of what we are, what we do. I know that the boys are really energised by the environment that they've got here, and it's not always just about money. It's about where they're going to get their development, where they're going to put themselves in the best position to promote themselves to play international rugby. And I like to think that right now this is a very good place for anyone to be, and that gives us a little bit more than just the financial situation.
You mentioned George there. Is he ruled out to the weekend, or you just?
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Not Sean.
Sean is, Sean is at this stage, and he's stuck in Newcastle anyway. So.
Right.
But George,